Please welcome Stephen Bacon.
Thank you everyone for investing the time to join us today to talk about protecting against cyber threats and disruptions. We recognize your time is precious, so one of the things that we do encourage you to do is give us feedback on the session, on how myself and my colleagues do as presenters. That will help us ensure maximum return on investment, return on your investment in the future. So over the next 45 minutes, what we're going to be talking about is how to reimagine data protection in the cyber resilience era. As we go through that, we'll also be talking about what's new, as well as some of what's just around the corner coming from HPE. And then perhaps the highlight of today's session, I'll be joined by Adam Janssens to talk about what Western Colorado Lottery Corporation is doing from a data protection and cyber resilience perspective. So with that, we'll go ahead and dive straight in, starting with some overall context that isn't just what we see as challenges for yourselves, but that actually directly shapes what we're doing with the HPE strategy and the HPE portfolio when it comes to cyber resilience and data protection. When we talk to organizations around the world, what we certainly hear is that cyber risks are significant, very real, only increasing, including not just in number, but in terms of sophistication too. If we look at some of the key proof points or key statistics that have significant impact, the first is that the vast majority of cyber risks and cyber attacks are driven not by easy to detect malware, but are actually non-malware initiated cyber attacks. Another key important statistic that shapes the context, a primary vector for attack is backup targets. Why? Quite simply, if one's ability to recover is destroyed, that leaves organizations with little option, if it's a ransomware attack, but to pay the ransom. Unfortunately, paying a ransom is no assurance of being able to recover. More than 40% of organizations have found this to be true. That could be for a number of reasons. It could be that the bad actor never follows through in terms of providing encryption keys and instructions. Or it could be, if you think about it, someone who's developing ransomware isn't exactly going to be investing a lot of time and energy in doing quality assurance testing for the ability to effectively recover. And thus, paying a ransom is no guarantee of a successful outcome either. At the same time, cyber threats are real, substantial, have significant existential consequences for organizations and the end users that organizations service, whether that be in healthcare, financial services, retail, whatever the case may be. All of the other more, if you will, traditional data protection challenges are also only increasing. That's driven by things such as data now being everywhere, whether it be loosely coupled devices at the edge, core data centers in the cloud, a far greater diversity of workloads than we've ever had to deal with before. Things like SaaS workloads, AI and analytics pipelines that are rapidly emerging and evolving in the industry, cloud-native apps, and so on as well. Especially here in the context of the European theatre, stringent regulations which exist for very real and appropriate reasons place significant new demands, not just on cyber resilience, not just on data protection, but ultimately on provable recoverability as well. And all of these things coming together to introduce greater operational complexity from disparate tools, processes, not to mention people and organizational structures that make it harder than ever before. And if we double click just one step further on some of what's so profoundly different in a cyber context that has impact on traditional data protection approaches. Quite simply, at a high level, attack patterns are unpredictable. It's very difficult to plan for unknown unknowns. The blast radius is entirely different to what we've had to think about before. Lateral movement in an attack has significant consequence that doesn't occur when you've got a normal event that would trigger a data protection action, such as inadvertent deletion, corruption, and infrastructure failure, or the like. Unclean recovery points from the perspective of whether your data has been penetrated, corrupted, encrypted, whatever the case may be, is a new context we haven't had to deal with in years gone by. Not to mention, as the world has continued to evolve, the demands for online real-time action have continued to advance. The acceptability, or rather the unacceptability, of data loss and downtime is greater than ever before. All these things have driven us to the conclusion that working with yourselves, we need to fundamentally reimagine data protection for the cyber resilience era. And as we do so, we recognize a rip and replace is unrealistic. The approach that we embrace is one that's an evolution from your starting point, where you can build from where you are, focusing on, as a guiding light for a strategy, resilience and recoverability. And what we certainly encourage is leverage the expertise that we HPE have, and that our strategic software partners in the data protection space, such as Commvault, Veeam, and Cohesity have, to bring to bear the best expertise and capabilities to solve the new landscape of problems. The fundamental approach that we seek through this is to deliver holistic protection that spans from edge to cloud and from source to target. Holistic protection that can help you address everything from planning for bad actors and disasters, being able to automate protection for operational efficiency and to reduce the chance of human error, to be able to mitigate infrastructure failures of many types, of any type, as well as to meet the ultimate constraints that we all face when it comes to budgets, resources, performance demands, and so on at the same time. Within that holistic approach, we're really focusing on three key areas that we believe deliver the greatest value in a cyber resilience era. The first is, quite simply, being cyber secure. That's the foundation for operational resilience from a product and technology perspective. High performance, being able to deliver the level of operational velocity and agility that organizations and the end users that organizations serve require. And being workflow automated to provide the operational efficiency, operational effectiveness that is necessary in an increasingly complex landscape. These three key pillars underpin the focus of the HPE data protection portfolio, the HPE cyber resilience strategy from a storage portfolio perspective, and is what we'll talk through over the next few minutes. It's also what drives what we've been announcing as new capabilities, as you'll see today. So if you haven't been tracking us, what we've been doing in this space recently, I encourage you to look back just at the last 6 months, and what you see up here are some of the headline releases of new capabilities that we've released just in the last 6 months alone. Everything from new advanced protection and AI-driven security capabilities that we announced at the Black Hat USA conference a couple of months ago, what we're doing to bring accelerated recovery to bear. That was part of our Green Lake Intelligence announcement. Our deepened and expanded strategic partnerships with Commvault, as well as with Veeam. I encourage you to go back, look at our website, look at our newsroom, learn about the significant advancements we've delivered. But let's look forward to the future now, what we've got coming. First up, in terms of cybersecurity, why does it matter? How do we approach it? Fundamentally, our philosophy begins at the source, where data is created, where data is curated, where your production workloads run, where your production data resides. It includes capabilities such as robust access controls, comprehensive encryption, policy-based protection. It also extends out to target storage environments for data protection, as well as the data movers in between. This includes, for example, immutable and air-gapped protection, automated backup and recovery, the ability to deliver ultra-low recovery point objectives and recovery time objectives. But ultimately, that's not enough. Cyber resilience demands more, and thus we integrate real-time ransomware protection across the environment, both our source storage environments, such as the Alletra Storage MP B10000, as well as our data movers, such as Zerto software for disaster and cyber recovery, to help inform response and recovery actions to be more efficient, effective, and faster should an event occur. This is all part of what's ultimately an integrated and multi-layered approach, and that's because cyber resilience is ultimately a party. It's a party of people, processes, and multiple products. There is no such thing as a single product solution for either data protection in the cyber resilience era or to achieve the ultimate outcome of cyber resilience itself. And thus, as you see here, we start with a source, we extend up the stack to workloads, we integrate into environment level tools such as XDR and SIEM tools, we extend across to the target storage environments, and we deliver the ultimate insurance policy in terms of isolated, air-gapped cyber vaults and isolated recovery environments too. I touched on very quickly Zerto software, which provides continuous data protection with ultra-low RPOs and RTOs for both disaster and cyber recovery. Recently, just a couple of months ago, we released Zerto 10 Update 8. With this new capability, we've significantly advanced our security foundation, now having FIPS compliance, CISA attestation that affirms the cybersecurity practices that we employ in the development and release of that software, as well as a security technology implementation guide for how you can deploy the most security resilient instantiation of that, as well as new capabilities as syslog exports into those higher level tools like the SIEM tools. We've also enabled a new framework within Zerto software to make it easier to integrate into third-party toolset environments. CrowdStrike was our exclusive launch partner for this new capability with a new Falcon plugin for Zerto software. With this Falcon plugin, in addition to Zerto having built-in real-time ransomware detection, if in any part of the environment of an IT environment, Falcon identifies an event, insight or awareness of that event can be injected into the log stream for Zerto, giving you a point in time that if there's the need to roll back, whether it be a couple of seconds before, minutes before, hours before, days before, weeks before, you have that flag, you have that marker, you have increased insight, intelligence, and responsiveness should the need arise to roll back very quickly. At the same time, it's part of an integrated solution. So let's take just a couple of minutes to look at how we bring to bear Storage MP B10000, CrowdStrike Falcon, and Zerto, all working in concert.
In this workflow, HPE systems proactively enhance threat visibility. The B10000 is configured to export critical events via syslog to CrowdStrike Falcon, and the virtual machine protected by Zerto has a Falcon sensor deployed to send security events to the Falcon instance. As ransomware is deployed on the target VM, both platforms detect the activity and trigger alerts. When the B10000 detects suspicious encryption activity, it alerts Falcon via syslog, marks the affected volume as degraded, and creates an immutable alert snapshot for analysis. These alerts are forwarded to Falcon, enriching its threat graph and accelerating incident response, all while the attack is still underway. When Falcon flags a malicious event, it sends a command to Zerto to tag a journal checkpoint, pinpointing the exact moment of compromise. Admins can then recover to a clean state just before the attack.
While we've significantly enhanced the security posture, augmented the built-in real-time ransomware protection that we have both within B10000 and Zerto software through integration with CrowdStrike Falcon and other technologies coming soon, we're also continuing to expand the platforms that Zerto software supports. So today, Zerto software supports for VMware, Hyper-V, as well as AWS and Azure, such that you can use it to provide continuous protection for both your virtualized and cloud workloads. Coming in Q1, you can see this demonstrated on the showroom floor. We'll be introducing Zerto software support for HPE's Morpheus portfolio, including VM Essentials. This brings that industry-leading continuous data protection capability to Morpheus Enterprise and VM Essentials. That brings the reduced data loss and downtime of this capability to this new virtualization environment. It brings provable recoverability with ready-made compliance reports to the Morpheus portfolio. It simplifies recovery and does so at speed with the built-in orchestration and automation tools that exist, all the while giving you that added level of protection with the built-in real-time ransomware detection. And ultimately, as we look forward in time, getting even stronger beyond. And thus, one of the areas that we're focusing on is how we extend Zerto software into the AI era, and doing so in two contexts, both using AI to deliver a more intelligent capability, one that is easier to use, as well as supporting applied AI, in other words, where AI is a feature within the workloads that you've deployed in your environment. We're on a journey to fully embrace agentic cyber recovery with this technology, including in the future, our plans extend to integrating with GreenLake Intelligence that I hope you've had the opportunity to learn something about. If not, once again, please take some time, explore the showroom floor. You can see some examples yourselves. But let's take a second to look at a proof of concept example of how we're leveraging agentic support into Zerto software to make it even easier to operate, even easier to demonstrate, for example, provable recoverability.
Model Context Protocol enables AI agents to interact with applications using natural language processing. With MCP for HPE Zerto software, you can conversationally query your hybrid cloud environment to surface critical insights and receive intelligent recommendations. without writing a single line of code. With an MCP server set up in your HPE Zerto environment, and with an AI agent like Anthropic's Claude, you can simply ask it questions about your HPE Zerto environment that you want to know. Like, has the RTO exceeded 5 minutes for any critical applications? Or, generate a report for all failover tests ran last quarter. It's that simple. MCP support for HPE Zerto software gives you conversational real-time insights, clear actionable steps to optimize your disaster recovery environment while reducing downtime and strengthening your data resilience. It's like having a trusted co-pilot navigating your IT journey.
So we've got a lot going on in the cybersecurity space within our data protection portfolio, within our overall storage portfolio. But as I mentioned before, that's just one pillar of focus for us. High performance is another. And just as with cybersecurity, our focus around high performance permeates our portfolio, similarly extends from source to target for both your source applications and the target environments which you're writing out to. It expands or extends across everything from ensuring the fastest possible RPOs or the lowest possible RPOs and RTOs to ensuring high throughput performance for rapid ingest of data, but even more importantly, rapid recovery of data, whether that be on-premise across multiple sites or in the cloud. It includes the automation of protection schemas, protection policies to make it faster to respond. It includes highly efficient data reduction. But beyond all that, it also includes a focus on a very real time consumer if you have a cyber recovery event, and that is cyber forensics. Frequently, the long pole involved in a cyber recovery exercise is not just the time taken to do an actual restore, it's all of the forensic work that needs to go on beforehand. And that entails a very different performance profile than what's been demanded of target environments in the past. And that's why with our new generations of StoreOnce appliances, with what we're doing with the Alletra Storage MP X10000, we've focused on enabling new performance profiles that are far better optimized than other offerings in the industry for the cyber forensics action that can be the long pole, the greatest time consumer to recovery. And if we look at what we're announcing here at Discover as well, available next quarter in calendar Q1, we have our new mid-range StoreOnce appliances that deliver both high capacity and high performance for recovery as the ultimate action of consequence. The new StoreOnce 5720 is our hybrid flash appliance in a simple single chassis 4U form factor with over 0.5 petabyte of usable capacity, and that's before contemplating the effective capacity benefits of our phenomenal data reduction capabilities that are up to 60-to-1 data reduction. We have the sibling, the HPE StoreOnce 7700 is our first all-flash StoreOnce appliance. Similarly, up to 0.5 petabyte this time of all-flash capacity to deliver the most granular, lowest RTOs possible for your increasingly demanding environments. Being able to deliver 5 times lower recovery point objectives, 3.5 times faster recovery time objectives, and with 80% less data center space required compared to alternatives in the industry. And at the same time, delivering all of the core cybersecurity capabilities that are necessary today, things like multi-factor authentication, role-based access control, dual authorization, encryption, immutability, and air gapping with the long-term safekeeping in either cloud or object storage, taking advantage of a feature called HPE StoreOnce Cloud Bank Storage. But there's more that we've done than just release phenomenal new StoreOnce systems. We're also extending the use case applicability with each new generation that we release. Specifically, one of the features that we've had for a while, that's certainly a core feature of our StoreOnce Gen 5 platforms, is integrated protection with both the ElectraStorage MP B10000, with SimpliVity, and with Private Cloud Business Edition that leverages the B10000 and SimpliVity storage platforms. With this integrated protection, you're able to easily set snapshot policies that copy or move the snapshots directly into a StoreOnce appliance without requiring any external data movers. It does so preserving the native data format. In combination with that, we're now going to be able to expose that data via iSCSI for in-place data reuse. The primary focus to enable cyber forensics ahead of the game so that you can have full assurance as to the safety of what you've protected well before a recovery event is ever necessary to action. As well as additional use cases such as data analysis for personally identifiable information, as an example, or even use cases such as dev test. So let's take a quick look at how some of this integrated protection capabilities actually work.
With the B10000's integrated protection feature, you get unified policy-based protection that automates immutable snapshots to HPE StoreOnce Catalyst stores. Those snapshots are backed up to HPE StoreOnce, leveraging deduplication, compression, virtual locking, and inline state-of-the-art ransomware detection. No more confusing configuration guides. No more creating sets and policies in multiple applications. You simply create a single policy in HPE GreenLake that will do it all: snapshot, copy, and protect. First, you identify the parameters for the new StoreOnce system, including retention information and selecting virtual lock to make the backups immutable. Next, select the retention and virtual lock feature for the snapshots on the array. Now assign the new policy in the protection device and you're done. Snapshots are created locally on the array, and protection copies are moved directly to HPE StoreOnce using Catalyst Copy, both scanned for ransomware and locked for immutability. And when needed, recovery is simple and fast. Simply select the restore point from the protection store, point to the target, select Restore, and watch how fast your protected data is restored.
And just to be clear on one key aspect, while this integrated protection capability gives you convenience, gives you speed, gives you in-place data reuse on your target storage environments, it is not intended as a replacement for data protection software such as Commvault Cloud or Veeam Data Platform. It's intended as a phenomenal complement to data protection software as part of a multi-layered, multifaceted approach. These new systems, the new StoreOnce 5720 and StoreOnce 7700, are part of a completely enhanced recovery storage portfolio through the course of this year. Earlier, we announced a new generation of the StoreOnce virtual storage appliance, the StoreOnce VSA, as well as our new entry appliances, the StoreOnce 3720 and the StoreOnce 3760. At the other end of the spectrum, earlier this year, we also announced the Data Protection Accelerator node for our ElectraStorage MP X10000 ultra-fast object storage platform that makes it a phenomenal data protection platform as well. And by virtue of leveraging common core technologies across this full portfolio, the same data protection protocol, the same deep integrations with our strategic software partners, you get a common capability common security experience, common data reduction experience, common performance outcome, whether you're talking about a satellite or edge location or a core data center environment. And just in terms of that ElectraStorage MP X10000 capability with the Data Protection Accelerator node, if you hadn't heard a number of months ago when we made this announcement, it blows past anything else in the industry, blows past absolutely anything else in the industry. Up to 12 times faster ingest, even more importantly, up to 22 times faster restore. 1.2 petabytes of throughput per hour for data protection target storage. All the while giving you that phenomenal data reduction for a very attractive economic profile with that up to 60-to-1 data reduction capability of the StoreOnce Catalyst engine. So the third pillar now, workflow automated. So we've spoken about cybersecure. We've actually shown you an example of workflow automated as part of that when we looked at what we're doing with the B10000, with the built-in ransomware detection, how that intersects with virtual lock immutable snapshots. We've shown examples when we talk about our performance with the integrated protection capability. But there's more that we do around automated workflows. We're not only focused on automating our own technology, tightly integrating the different technologies together, but we're also focused on working very closely with our strategic data protection software partners such as Commvault and Veeam, and we work with the broader ecosystem beyond. Our ecosystem integration focus is really oriented to encompassing many aspects, whether it be around zero trust, whether it be around threat and anomaly detection, whether it be around workflow orchestration, as well as SLA optimized backup and recovery and disaster recovery. As just one example of the level of sophistication that we have in workflow orchestration, you can see here what we've done in close collaboration with Commvault, one of our strategic data protection partners. Together with Commvault Cloud Unity, we can orchestrate both simultaneous snapshots and local backups for two synchronously replicated ElectraStorage MP B10000 environments. No need to have to replicate backups between sites. No cause for concern about whether snapshots are synchronized between sites, whether backups are synchronized between sites. Leveraging HPE technologies, Commvault technologies, working in concert, tightly integrated, workflow automated, we're able to deliver these capabilities to you as just one example of what we deliver in this space. As another coming example of how we're working very closely together with Commvault, we're working to bring to bear that ultra-fast object storage platform, that unstructured data storage platform of ElectraStorage MP X10000 with Commvault Hyperscale Flex to deliver a converged data protection solution that gives you all of that operational simplicity of being able to manage the data protection and persistent storage as one entity while taking full advantage of the best target storage there is. Once again, something that you can look forward to in just a couple of months from now as we head into Q1 of next year. These elements that we've covered are ultimately part of a tightly integrated, coherent portfolio, as I mentioned at the outset, that covers from edge to cloud and source to target. We start with where data is created. We continuously safeguard workloads. We securely back up, securely vault and recover at speed. and we economically retain data for you, whether it be on-prem or in the cloud. But ultimately, hearing from me is probably the least interesting element. Let me introduce Adam Janssens from Western Canada Lottery Corporation to actually hear what happens in the real world. Adam, thanks. So first, Adam, can you tell us all a little bit about Western Canada Lottery Corporation?
Yeah, for sure, Stephen. Thanks for having me here in Barcelona. It's a great city. It's my first time, but yeah, I'm Adam Janssens, Director of Infrastructure and Operations at Western Canada Lottery Corporation. In Canada, we have 10 provinces and 3 territories, and our Western Canada Lottery Corporation operates and maintains the technology that enables the sale of lottery in 3 of those provinces and all 3 of the territories. I was going to make a joke to say that perhaps our technology that runs on HPE, Santa Claus could buy a ticket, but I wasn't sure how many European countries believe in Santa Claus. So,
got you. Thanks, Adam. So we've discussed how cyber resilience, just very briefly, requires new approaches to data protection. When you think about what's happened in your own shop, what sort of changes have you had to make around people, processes, as well as products for the cyber resilience era?
Yeah, for sure. And I think I go back to the old saying of, it's not if, it's when you get hit with a cyber threat or cyber attack. For us, what we were able to do, our board approved a pretty significant improvement to our cyber program, and part of the driver was that is some of the board members, it hit very home. Some of their personal businesses that they do business with, as well as the local university that our members of our board got hit with cyber attacks. So that really helped us and allowed us to know that it's real, or convince the board that those attacks are real and they're happening all the time, which is obviously very, very prevalent in the news. So once we were able to get that board approval, we had cyber protection, but that really allowed us to improve not only just the tools, which we'll talk about, and the technology, but within the Major Cyber program, we also, like you said, focus on training staff and doing training, and it's not just the technology, it's the people and the process. Yeah.
Thanks. So you mentioned that technology does play a role, and ultimately, as we know, multiple products do need to be able to coherently come together. What are some of the major product elements within your environment that provide data protection and cyber resilience?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start with the HPE products. So we have implemented Zerto and the Cyber Resilience Vault. We have the Storage MP B10000 that you mentioned as part of our Cyber Resilient Vault. We also are using StoreOnce for user backup targets. And like you said before, you need multiple vendors and multiple products to make sure you're fully protected. As we mentioned, backup isn't cyber resilience. So today we're using Veeam for backup, but we know we needed more than that. So that's where it led us down the path. Like I mentioned earlier, we got approval for that cyber program. That is a multi-year program, but one of the first things that we did out of that program was implement Zerto and the Cyber Resilience Vault to really add that cyber protection to our already existing cyber resilience infrastructure that we have.
So Adam, when you think about some of the outcomes that you've been able to achieve, whether it be around cybersecurity, RTOs, and so on, what are some of the biggest points of value, the biggest benefits that you've seen through some of the new technologies you've deployed, whether it be the Cyber Resilience Vault, Zerto, or other products?
Yeah, we just finished our installation of Zerto and the Cyber Resilience Vault in September, so it's relatively new. I was chatting with some individuals earlier this morning, and I think we will need to change the definitions of RTO and RPO, or change the acronyms. What I had heard is, we should look at mean time to clean recovery instead of just standard RPOs. There's lots of vendors, products, services out there that will promise RTOs, RPOs, but don't have the level of constant data protection and scanning that we evaluated when we evaluated the Zerto software. So I think, having clean data and knowing that your data is clean, and just like you showed on the demo there with the, snapshot and where it was, where the malware was detected, then you can go back to seconds or minutes before, instead of some of the other products that we evaluated and tested where it's hours and weeks. So that constant real-time data protection was one big factor. The Cyber Resilience Vault in the clean room was another huge factor, knowing that you have totally isolated clean room and data vault where all of your data is being backed up to was another huge driving factor. And just the fact that there is a clean room, so that when when you're impacted, what we've seen and what we've read about is that you need to have all this other infrastructure to restore your data to. And if you don't have free infrastructure, then you're going out and rushing to buy some or trying to restore to the cloud. But the fact that the solution comes with a clean room where you can stand up your workloads that have been scanned, the data's protected, and it's from a good time where before your data was encrypted.
Fantastic. Adam, when we were talking before, you actually surprised me with some of your experience around Zerto software and just how easy it can be to achieve certain outcomes from it. What was your learning in that regard, and what are you now thinking of doing, which isn't something we necessarily hear about every day, but is really a testament for just how easy it can be to achieve certain outcomes?
Yeah, so with Zerto, obviously the biggest reason was cyber resilience and making sure we had that protection with the immutable air-gapped vault. However, now that's been implemented, it's only been a few short months. We're backing up some of our final QA environments, so our environments that are the closest at near production. And the QA team was having some challenges, so they went into Zerto, restored to specific moments in time in the Zerto recovery room, not in the clean room in the vault, but in Zerto software itself, and were able to troubleshoot what was going on from that snapshot that was, and they could go back just very, very incremental into seconds. So the other piece that we are looking to do, and that other customers that we've talked to that are using Zerto, is because it's so easy to replicate and stand up environments, that we were looking to use Zerto to build and expand when we need additional development or test environments. So, think of containerization, only we're using Zerto to act as the containerization, where we can rip down a dev test environment and then use Zerto to spin up a new one when required. We know we're running out of time. The other piece, that longer future roadmap where I've started to discuss with the team, and we'll be looking to chat with HPE more and our partners, is right now we run 2 data centers that are active. But I would like to see and investigate in the future that as Zerto evolves and as the recovery times continue to come down, if we could test out and get rid of one of those data centers. So our active recovery spot would be using Zerto up into the cloud environment. So we're not, it essentially cuts your IT costs in half. Now that's probably years down the road, but that's some of the stuff on the roadmap that we're thinking of using Zerto for.
Fantastic. Adam, I just want to thank you again for joining us today, and now for sharing some of your insights.
Okay.
Thank you. So just to wrap things up, with the HPE approach, with the HPE portfolio, both our rich HPE technology and how we combine it with that of select strategic software partners such as Commvault and Veeam, we are able to address protection for effectively any workload, regardless of the type, regardless of the size, regardless of the maturity, running in any location, whether it be at the edge in a core data center or in the cloud, and with any SLA demand, whether that SLA demand be for the lowest possible RPOs and RTOs, or mean time to safe recovery, as Adam said, for short-term retention or for long-term retention. And we do so with a holistic approach, as I mentioned at the outset or early on, that spans both from source to target and from edge to cloud, to address everything from needing to plan for unfortunate bad actors, external and internal, disasters, eliminating human error, addressing infrastructure failures, and meeting the inevitable business constraints we have around budgets, around people resources, around the performance demands that we place on us, that are placed on us. So in terms of taking the next step, we have a rich program still ahead for the storage portfolio. I encourage you to attend some of the upcoming sessions, whether it be the overall storage strategy session, whether it be deep dive breakouts on the Alletra Storage MP X10000 and what we're doing in unstructured, whether it be the focus on what we're doing around structured storage and the Alletra Storage MP B10000, or looking at it more from a professional services perspective of how we can help you detect, respond, and recover from cyber events. If you haven't already signed up to join the Rants Against Ransomware workshops, you may have a small chance of still being able to do so. They're phenomenally popular, often oversubscribed. But by all means, also tour the showroom floor. We have a number of demos, people you can speak to about what I've covered in far greater depth than what I've covered, as well as areas beyond. So thank you for your time today, and please do provide us with feedback of value. Thank you.